Good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock on Monday, November 15th, and we will call this meeting of the Sault Ste. Marie City Commission to order. If we could have a call to order, please. Roll call.
Mayor Gary.
Here.
Commissioner Bauer.
Here.
Commissioner Bosbus-Rath. Here. Commissioner Collins.
Here.
Commissioner Miller. Commissioner Talentino. Commissioner Twardy.
Here.
Commissioner Miller and Commissioner Talentino both had called and weren't able to make it this evening, so we'd need to have a motion to excuse them.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor say aye.
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 They are excused. So if everybody could please rise so we can do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so item 4 is mayor comments and general announcements. I do have a couple this evening. On behalf of the City Commission, administration, and staff, we'd like to offer our condolences to the family of Sharon Kennedy, who was our Register of Deeds for many years in Sault Ste. Marie. She certainly was a great lady and a dedicated public servant. And I know as a young banker, when I went in there, she was always willing to give a helpful nudge and push you in the right direction. And she was always just very willing to help. So she was the epitome of what a public servant should be. So certainly we offer our prayers and condolences to the family, and especially the family at the Chippewa County offices who worked with her for so many years. And just on a different note, I wanted to give a couple comments, especially since Linda Hoth is sitting in the audience here. We were able to go to a governor's conference on tourism, which is every year, and it's the premier event put on by MEDC in Pure, Michigan, to talk about tourism and everything tourism. So they talk about the trends, they talk about outlooks, they talk about different mobility, they talk about cybersecurity, just about anything that you can think might or might not be related to tourism. But this year, Quentin L. Messer Jr., who is the new CEO of the MEDC, which is kind of a quasi part of the state of Michigan, but they oversee the Pure Michigan campaign. He came to MEDC from New Orleans, and he did say it that way, New Orleans. He did not say New Orleans. I listened closely. He was the director of a business alliance there, and he has a really long and good resume. And a couple things he said kind of resonated with us, and they are things that we have said up here in Sault Ste. Marie many times. He said, and I quote him, "We underestimate what we have in Michigan." And Linda did a study a few years back, and I think that was technically the result, that we here in the Sioux look less highly at our own surroundings than our visitors do. They come here for a reason, because they like it. And sometimes we're a little bit too pessimistic or not as, don't look at it as highly. The other thing he said was tourism is economic development. And we all know that tourism is a very large part of our GDP up here in Sault Ste. Marie and in the Eastern Upper Peninsula. And just the sheer amount of money that Linda and the CVB pump through the community is pretty amazing. They also said that Pure Michigan is an iconic brand, and it promotes connectivity, and it does result in tax dollars and revenue. So I think that they have funded Pure Michigan again this year going forward. It's really a big part of our state. They talked about the outlook for tourism, and they said that we have stayed closed longer than any other country, and next year should pick up from the pent-up demand from international travelers. So all in all, the outlook was very good, so we're very optimistic about tourism in Sault Ste. Marie going forward, and especially next year. Another thing that we were able to do at 12:01 a.m. November 8th, Tony Haller from the Chamber of Commerce, Linda Hoth from the CVB, and I were greeting the first Canadian travels across the border, and it was very exciting. And we didn't really expect to see any cars, but there were dozens of them, and there were a lot of nice campers, snowbirds heading south, and they were all very smiley and honking. And us at midnight were probably not the same, but we had a great time and appreciated being able to do that. So those are my only comments this evening. So we'll move on into, we have no proclamations and recognitions, so we'll move on to public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make any comments on any of the agenda items this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move into the consent agenda. Deputy City Manager Robin Troyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Under the consent agenda, 1, approval of the City Commission meeting minutes of November 1st, 2021. Item 2, acceptance of the Community Services Board meeting minutes of June 29th, 2021. Item 3, acceptance of the Community Services Board meeting minutes of October 5th, 2021. Item 4, acceptance of the Downtown Development Authority meeting minutes of October 13th, 2021. Item 5, acceptance of the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting minutes of October 21st, 2021. Item 6, appointment of Jason McLeod, Stefan Menta, and Lisa Young to the Community Services Board to fill the balance of terms to expire July 1, 2024. Item 7, appointment of Craig Cooper to the Downtown Development Authority Board to fill the balance of a term to expire April 1, 2025. Item 8, approval to submit street projects for funding through Small Urban Program and commit to project match. Item 9, schedule a public hearing for consideration of proposed amendments to City Ordinance Chapter 2, Article 3, Boards and Commissions, Division 5, Community Services Board. Item 10, approval of Power Canal Trail Phase 2 resolution regarding local match and future maintenance. And item 11 is approval of the consent agenda items as presented.
Thank you, Deputy City Manager. Would any commissioner like any of the items removed from the consent agenda for individual consideration? Or do you have any questions on any of the items? Commissioner Twardy?
I just want it first, before I make the motion, I just wanted to say thank you to people who are willing to step up and fill in some of these vacancies. I see a few of you sitting in the audience, so thank you for volunteering your time to the City of Sault Ste. Marie. That being said, I would like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Baspas-Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Under item E, there are no special orders of business, so we'll move on into F, communications. City Manager Brian Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up first tonight is a short presentation from the Water Director, Kirk Tews. He just wants to provide the commission with an update on some of the water issues that are happening throughout the state. There's always a headline or two in the newspapers about them. And in comparison to those stories, kind of where we're at. So the state is pushing for more communication with the commissioners and the public. So Kirk put together a good PowerPoint, and he'll kind of walk you through everything.
Commissioners, just be a quick little water update, a couple of the topics that are hot in the news right now, where we stand on some of these topics. So, recently, Governor Whitmer signed a directive to improve state drinking water protections. This is a 6-part executive directive, forces both prevention and response and water quality issue. So part 1 is laws and regulations, 2 is resources, 3 is education and engagement, 4 is lead mitigation, part 5 is data collection and analysis, and part 6 is planning. So what this is for is we've had a lot of water issues in the state, and she wants to get a handle on things. I think it's a good move, and like you say, we don't ever want our water unfit for human consumption. This goes through some of the more details on these on their part 6 directive here and where we stand on some of these things. It's a good thing. I think this is going to direct us in ways so that we don't miss some of the things that we've been missing in the past. So, City of Sault Ste. Marie water monitoring. We'll talk about some PFAS, we'll talk about cyanotoxins, and we'll talk about our lead and copper response. As we all know, PFAS is a hot topic. There's multiple sites throughout the state, mostly around Air Force bases, using firefighting foam, but there's also tanneries, things, those nature, plating companies use a lot of PFAS. So these are the areas of concern. Like I say, in our area, Kinross is the most local. I work for F&B operations. Oscoda was a hot topic, so I was down there in kind of the fire zone of that area. And I'll show a video. Of course, PowerPoint doesn't want to do it, but maybe we'll get it playing here.
You've probably heard a lot about PFAS in the news. PFAS refers to a family of man-made chemicals that were first created in the 1940s. PFAS are the main ingredient in a lot of products that are used today, like nonstick pans, firefighting foam, and stain repellents. Although these products offer a lot of benefits, scientists have found that PFAS do not break down easily in the environment. Once there, PFAS chemicals can travel through water and enter the bodies of people and animals. This is concerning because PFAS can build up over time in people, fish, and animals. PFAS have been linked to some health problems like human reproductive and immune system issues and certain cancers. Since 2017, Michigan has been looking for sources of PFAS in the environment by testing drinking water, lakes and streams, and groundwater. We've found really low amounts of PFAS nearly everywhere we've looked for it, but we've found higher amounts at places like airports, tanneries, landfills, and metal plating businesses. Because we found PFAS at some of these locations, Michigan started testing public drinking water supply systems for PFAS in 2018. About 75% of Michigan residents get their water from a community public water supply, which you are likely connected to if you get a water bill. You can find the PFAS test results for your water supply by contacting your local municipality or by visiting Michigan's PFAS Action Response Team's website. If your home uses well water and you're concerned about PFAS, consider testing your water. For more information, call your local health department or the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services hotline.
That was Eagle's new video they just released. They were trying to get it out to the public to inform people what PFAS is. I think there's a lot of things out there that people just don't understand what it is, so quick and easy video. Michigan is leading the way in new MCLs, which are maximum contaminant levels. Those are the regulations that we have to follow as a drinking water provider. They've really cut them down. The EPA has their numbers, Michigan has theirs, and we're half of what the EPA is. So August of 2020, these are the new current levels. A lot of people ask who's working on the PFAS. Michigan has a PFAS response team. They have 10 state departments, including the health department. They work with Eagle, local health departments, and public drinking water supplies to collect information on PFAS and to find out where it's going and how to prevent it. So our monitoring, the EPA did an initial investigation, the UCMR4, which is the Unregulated Contaminant Monitoring Program, 2014-2015, involved quarterly samples. Eagle followed up 2019 through 2021. We were under contracted monthly samples through AECOM. And then Eagle monitoring schedule for this year, we have 1 annual samples. All our samples have been non-detect, so we don't have any PFAS in our drinking water, which is a very good thing. Cyanotoxins, these are the next little fun thing that are coming along. A few years back, I think people remember Toledo, Ohio, and Lake Erie when it turned green, actually shut their water supply down for 3 days. Something new, I was just on EPA webinar last week for 8 hours talking about cyanotoxins and what's coming down the pipeline. We entered a voluntary program in the summer of 2021. We did have a small detect in September for microcystin, LR, and LA, which those are the bad cyanotoxins. We don't want those, but the detects were thousands of times below the limit for drinking water. So what does that mean? It means we could possibly really monitor yearly until the EPA and Eagle establishes formal rules, but currently it's not a threat to our drinking water supply. The Great Lakes continue to warm. It's possible we may have issues in the future, so this is something to keep an eye on. Lead. this is the big thing in the news right now. Flint, of course, just settled their big lawsuit. Benton Harbor come around with a big community of lead, and now the city of Manistee is under a big lead order. City of Sault Ste. Marie, we test annually for lead, June through September. But if people have concerns, we can test at any time. All they have to do is reach out for us, and we can get them a test kit. The city does have positive results for lead. This year, our highest was 3.7 parts per billion. The limit right now is 15. It's going to change to 12 in 2025. So we're well below our limits, but no lead is good lead, so we need to get the lead out. We're doing that. We're searching for lead goosenecks. Water department this year, we found 3 lead goosenecks in our searches. We're also awaiting Eagle to provide us with better corrosion control parameters. Our corrosion control is working, but it's possible that we can do better. The most common contributor of lead levels besides goosenecks is galvanized plumbing. So that's something that we're going to launch next year, is we're going to do an investigation and try to find more galvanized pipes in the city and get those out. So a lot of people ask why now? Why are we hearing about these things now, especially PFAS? That's the one that just seems to spring up overnight. A lot of it has to do with technology. Technology is advanced since the 70s, computers and all that stuff. Allows us to detect particles at trillions of times lower than once were detected. The medical technology is also increased to allow us to pinpoint root cause of diseases and things. That research is able to prove what's related to substances in air, water, and soil. Social media is also huge because it shares photos and videos of things that are not right, foams, algae, diseases, and fish and wildlife, and that helps us as well. Monitoring, we've been increased monitoring through the UCMR programs, and those contaminants are being identified and tracked. And certainly time is a big thing. Since the development of certain chemicals, there unfortunately has been a long enough time in the labs to see the long-term effects. So that's all I have for you tonight. Those are the up-and-coming things that we're keeping our eye on, and just wanted to get that out to the public and talk to you guys for consideration.
Thank you, Kirk. Anybody have any questions? Commissioner Twardy?
I just have a question. So with how old our community is and with how many old houses, I understand that the city's amount of lead is really low, but if somebody wanted to get the lead levels, exactly what's coming out of their tap, how do they go about doing that?
Like I said, you can reach out to us at the water plant. You can give us a call. We can get a non, what do they call it? It's not non-compliant, but it's a non-recordable test result. So we give you a bottle, you take a water test, we'll send it off to our lab, and we can get a result that way. We can also do in-home inspections. If we can take a look at your visible plumbing and see what type of materials you have and recommend replacement of those materials.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Good question. Anybody else? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Good news is the water is good. Under F, communications, number 2. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just an update from Linda Hoth and Mr. Nepper regarding a potential project for on behalf of the CBV, for the I-500 project.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, Assistant City Manager. We just wanted to give you an update tonight. We've been working, I should say, they've been working diligently. I can't say I have been, because I've been on other projects, but the travel and tourism grant, we have been working with the I-500. I can't thank them enough. They have come through with different numbers for the things that they want on their wish list and the things that I want on my wish list for the I-500 tract. They want to redo the existing billboards and things like that, flagpoles, PA system, LED lighting upgrades, fencing upgrades, bluff connectors, footbridge, as we're looking at doing different things like that. Combination security building, hillside terracing, which we really need to get done because, you know, we all know what happens on that hillside. Yeah. Large-scale digital sign, that's one of mine, because we can advertise and constantly let people know what's going on downtown Sault Ste. Marie. Operations building, parking pad, vendors building, West 4th Avenue repaving, and the Meridian to track. So far, we've gotten back quotes for over $1 million, so we got a long ways to go. We also had to, after talking with Lee, we hired a licensed engineer. The Sioux Convention and Visitors Bureau did. We had a hard time finding one because they don't want to do that unless they can be a part of the final. So we hired Linda Basista to do the, the engineering. And along with the I-500, getting us quotes on all the different things that they need. So there's a lot of people working on this, and we really have to give them credit because we're working hard on it. The terracing on the sides of the track there, that's going to be amazing. And then to have it's going to look really, really good when you're coming down there in the summertime. We don't have a huge update for you today, but I don't want to miss a commission meeting and not telling you what's going on so that you are in communication with us and and if you have questions, I'll give you some of this information so you can have right now and take it with you. And if you have any questions, you guys know where to find me. I have to say that we talked to the I-500 board. We went to their meeting on last Thursday night, and we did talk about who would be responsible for the buildings if they got the money, and it would be them. They would, just like they have all these years, responsible for the buildings. So we have done a lot of work behind us and pulling things together and trying to get it. We also let them know, too, if it comes in way too high, there's things that they've got to prioritize what they want, and we will prioritize what we want. But we want summer activities on that I-500 track. We want to be able to do things that can bring the people to the community, people we probably haven't been able to bring in many, many years. So we're working hard. We're trying to raise funds. I've already talked to one group, and they'll give up to a matching grant of $150,000. There's another group that I'm working on right now, too, to do a matching grant. So we're really working hard on getting things to come together. And poor Brian has to put up with me all the time. It's like I go and say, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And I thank you for that, Brian, though. It's nice to have your input on things. And it makes it us all working together, making it better. So if you have any questions, I can give you, like I said, we're up to over $1 million already in just a very short few things. We can't go real high because we've got to raise that 20% matching grant. So it's about what we come in at and where we can go and what we can cut and what we can make different. Make it so it's compatible and we can raise those funds because we don't want the city to have to pay for anything, or the CVB. CVB will probably be willing to put a little bit in. Because we do, that is a part of our mission from the state level also, is not just a destination marketing organization, but a help management the destination. So that DMO isn't not just marketing, it's also management. And that's been a new part of us since probably about 3 or 4 years, about being able to put money back into the community and making it better because you want your destination better for when people come here. So I will give you copies of this. If you have any questions, just call me or drop in right across the hall. Any questions?
We know from your work on the Ani Osborne fundraising and helping us with the concrete pad that we have no doubt you'll do something. So thanks for your energy and commitment. Thanks, Linda. All right, moving on into G, business items. City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up first for commission consideration is a request to purchase a new truck for the wastewater treatment plant facility. Currently, the 2008 Ford F-250 has seen better days and has some issues with it. It's due for a replacement. Bids were put out to the market. We received a couple back. This particular motion or item has two motions associated with it. We need to increase the budget from the capital fund by $4,200 from the sewer equipment reserve, and a motion to award the bid to Sioux Motors for the amount of $44,148.
Thank you, City Manager. Does anybody have any questions for him on this item? Yep, Commissioner Tuarty.
I guess I no longer have to ask if we're getting a navy blue vehicle, but just make that comment. But I am glad to see that this is going to Sioux Motors, a local company. So we, as a commission, always like to see that.
Didn't I see green in there somewhere?
It's the green one we're replacing, right? Yeah. Yeah, the wastewater treatment plant's got a green one and a gray one that we roll around in, but the green one is about as Flintstone-y as possible. You can pretty much push it with your feet through the floors, so it's definitely beat up. It's definitely needed a new
And we're getting another green one? Is that the?
one. No, we'll get
Okay.
a blue one.
There was an option for green color, correct? There was an option for green color. I thought there was an upcharge or something. Or was that for blue? That was for blue? Okay.
We'll get a blue one.
Consistency. All right. Any other questions? Commissioner Bauer, would you like to make the motion?
Yes, first of all, I would like to motion to increase the budget in the wastewater treatment plant capital equipment line item by $4,200 with funding from the sewer equipment reserve.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bospis Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarty,
Yes.
Mayor Gary.
Yes. Motion passed unanimously. Commissioner Bauer.
Further, I move to award the bid to Sioux Motors of Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan for the purchase of a 2021 or 2022 four-wheel drive, one-ton pickup truck for use by the wastewater treatment plant for the amount of $44,148 even.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any questions or comments?
Does that include taxes, tag, and title?
I hope so.
Does now.
Yeah. A roll call, please.
Commissioner Bospis Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarty,
Yes.
Mayor Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much. And I'll even vote on there. Sorry about that. Under G, business items number 2, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission consideration is a request to purchase 4 new meters as part of the filter process at the water treatment plant. There's some good information in the agenda item about what the meters do for us. This particular item has 2 motions associated with it, a motion to amend the project budget of $3,800 and a motion to purchase the 4 meters and wall-mounted remote transmitters in the amount not to exceed $28,730,056.
Thank you, City Manager. Does anybody have any questions on this item? Commissioner Collins, would you like to make the motion?
2 motions, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. First motion, to amend the project budget in the amount of $3,800 from the Water Capital Equipment Fund.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarty,
Yes.
Mayor Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bospis Rath.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously. Second part.
Okay. Motion to purchase 4 8750W Rosemont 12-inch meters with wall-mounted remote transmitters from Integrated Controls Incorporated out of Traverse City, Michigan for the amount of $28,730.56.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tuarty,
Yes.
Mayor Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bospis Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Under G, business items number 3, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission consideration is a request to authorize city manager to sign MDOT contract 21-5435 for rehabilitation work on the 3 Mile Road. This is kind of a follow-up item from the last meeting where we established the budget and the grant application. This one would allow us to sign the contract. I believe this project will be bid internally, so once we have authorization tonight, we enter the agreement and we are off and running with this project. So this particular section of 3 Mile is the section in front of Walmart. Kind of rough, kind of beat up there. We do have a considerable number of insurance claims made in that area, so once we crush and shape this section, we'll have a decrease in our insurance claims, bonus for us too. So total project's about $375,000. There's a match of $150,000 coming from the city gaming proceeds. So we would look for a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Thank you, City Manager. Anybody have any questions or comments? Just take one question, maybe of the city engineer. It says M129 is in the planning stage to be reconstructed in the near future. Do they call that Ashman all the way down to the corner? So it'll be our part too? Okay. Okay. All right. Commissioner Bospis Rath, would you like to make the motion?
Sure. Motion to approve the resolution authorizing the city manager to sign MDOT contract 21-5435 for the rehabilitation work on 3 Mile Road.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mayor Gary.
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Commissioner Bospis Rath.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. G, business items number 4, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for commission consideration is the request from the Finance Department for the first quarter operational budget reviews and associated budget amendments. Director Collins put together a very detailed memo for all the commissioners, so I won't go for it or go over it verbatim. Just a couple of highlights, more so in the general fund there. We are anticipating a loss of revenue. I sent an email out to the commission a couple of weeks ago regarding the change in census numbers and the impact that that could have on our shared revenue funds coming in from the state. So we're expecting some decreases in there. On the general fund expenditure side, most things are in line. Probably the most significant to call out at this point is the overtime budget in the fire department. Commission will recall that during the last budget cycle, we did freeze 3 positions. We took into account the increase of overtime, but during that time period, we also had some personnel and staffing changes, which resulted in an increase of more overtime. There was a termination in July. There was an employee that went out in FMLA. We had a couple of COVID vacancies that happened, or a couple of COVID cases happened there. So we are anticipating the overtime budget to increase. Just kind of on a side note with that, we can get a little bit more into it during the city manager's announcements. We are and have been actively recruiting to fill those open vacancies. Up until this point, we haven't been very successful. I believe we have one person testing today or tomorrow, maybe even yesterday. Tomorrow, yeah. So hopefully we'll get another body in there. We have been recruiting for a number of months now. And like I said, we can get that a little bit more in the next report, but we are actively trying to recruit to put some more bodies in there to decrease the number of overtime hours and the stress and burnout that's going on right now. For the most part, the other budgets are doing okay. Most are on target. There is another one that's kind of large in nature. It's a special revenue fund. That's the ARPA dollars that came in, about 1.4 million. And as far as the other budgets, everything else kind of coming in line right now. So we would look for a motion to approve the amendments as presented.
Thank you, City Manager. Does anybody have any questions for the City Manager? It was a long and thorough report. Thank you, Kristen. Good job as usual. Commissioner Twardy, would you like to make the motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to authorize the budget revisions as included in the agenda.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Commissioner Bospis Rath.
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty,
Yes.
Mayor Gary.
Yes. Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to G, business items number 5. Looks like Jason is squirming in his chair. City manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. McLeod is here tonight. You want to start coming on up? He has a request for a potential lease agreement for Steer Island. There's some work that he wants to take upon himself, more so being the Steer cabin, right? Yeah, the Steer cabin, and trying to rehab that and weatherizing it to make sure that it has some extra life behind it. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. McLeod.
Welcome, Jason.
All right. I was told not to do a lengthy presentation, so here we are. I gave you guys the brief overview of what I was thinking in the notes to the commission. Hi, not a problem. The nice lady just appeared around the corner. But I gave the broad strokes to you guys in the presentation packet thing that I provided for Brian. But basically what I'd like to do is go over to the island. We've already set up a little base camp over there to start operations, make trails and clean up the perimeter. There used to be, to my amazement, a whole bunch of other cabins over there that had fallen down, and there's sheet metal, rocks. They had some weird machinery that they had there that's just kind of laying around, gears and whatnot, just rusted metal and then pitfalls. So it's a pretty dangerous place, and people go over there on a regular basis. So what I'm looking to do is clean it up, turn the outside, the perimeter area into have basically volunteers come over and help clear the overgrowth along the outside and get it ready for walking. And it's going to be a multi-year project to be able to do. But we have a plaque on Rotary Island pointing to basically the Steer Island cabin, which is falling into the earth in front of our eyes. So and now that the leaves are gone, every year you can see it pretty plainly. Porcupines have done quite the damage in there. So most of you I have assaulted with pictures and vivid descriptions. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. If we don't get over there and do something with it now, it's not going to be there, and then we're going to have a falling in building behind the fence. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. This project started in, I think, 2017 when I went to purchase the pieces of city land across from the island. Since that time, I've cleaned up that area and turned it into a little boat launch / marina to be able to service the island, to already have boats and chainsaws and all that other good jazz to be able to go over there, and volunteers to help make all that happen. That's it. I can go longer if you want me to go longer, but I don't think you do.
Anybody have any specific questions for Jason? Sure, Commissioner Tuorty.
Plus, it's really fun to say that you lease an island.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's fun.
yeah, you have an island. It is my apocalypse plan,
You can
so
come.
I will be on the island.
There's plenty of
Steer
babies.
Island?
Yeah, that's not the smartest idea.
No, thank you for cleaning up city property, and I don't have a problem with this lease. If somebody wants to take something that's just been sitting there falling into the earth and rehabilitate it and make it look nice, go for it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Collins.
So Jason, in here you says that it's going to be set for private use.
Mhm.
Does that mean that citizens aren't going to be able to go to the island until you're done renovating it? Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, I'm surprised that they're allowed over there now. Like from all of the debris that's over there, it's a nightmare. Some of us have kind of gotten hurt over there working anyway. we got permission beforehand to go build a little base camp to be able to start working over there. So, but it's a miracle that nobody's gotten hurt there. The stairwell that most of the people use is in plain sight of Rotary, and it's got steps on the bottom that are going with the waves, and that's what people climb to get up on there. And it's got like the lichens and moss and everything, and the handrail is falling off, and people traverse it every day to go look at that cabin and cut the bolt on the thing and go on in. So it's a bad place to be if you're looking for not getting sued, so.
Right, so your idea behind that is that if you lease it, you don't want the liability of somebody else going over there and getting.
Right. I'm gonna have to privately insure it to be able to do what we need to do over there.
Gotcha.
So,
Thank you.
no problem. Want me to sit down? I can sit down. Okay. Okay. Bye.
Any other questions or comments for Jason? City Manager, do you want to give a kind of a brief overview on what the request is this evening?
The request is to approve the lease as presented. It has been reviewed by legal, so everything is good to go. So if the commission so chooses to approve the lease, we look for a motion to approve the lease as presented.
All right, so any questions on it at all? Everybody's had a chance to review it? Commissioner Bauer, would you like to make the motion?
Yes, I move that we allow this Jason McLeod and the city as presented.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baspis Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes, and my apologies to the people at home that my microphone was not on when I made that motion.
They probably still heard you.
They probably did. You're right, they probably did, but still.
All right, motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much, Jason, for your commitment to cleaning up Steer Island. Look forward to seeing it when the public is allowed again. Moving on into item H, City Manager announcements and updates. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one thing tonight, kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. During the budget session, when we were discussing the personnel changes and the freezes that we had in the general fund, there was a request from the commissioners to provide quarterly updates. This particular update would be our second quarterly update, because I believe we gave one in the summertime. Put together by the fire chief is the monthly fire runs and EMS runs as compared to the prior years. You can see they kind of trend up, they trend down. Ambulance runs a little bit down in October compared to year prior, whereas on the other side of it, fire are a little bit up compared to last year's. The crutch of the issue at this point is the overtime hours. As I mentioned earlier, there was some personnel changes and some unforeseen circumstances that have shot the overtime budget significantly higher than what we anticipated. There is a good deal of burnout and frustration in the department. We have been actively recruiting to fill those vacancies. We've been going all the way back for a number of months now. We've gone so far as to change the firefighter paramedic requirement to a paramedic with the ability to obtain a firefighter certification or certifications. We feel we could have done that in-house. That didn't yield us any more applicants in the process. Probably in the last few months that we've been advertising it, we probably 3 applications came in. Yeah, so 5 total for the last several months. One is currently in the process. It'll be going through the physical test tomorrow. One way or another, they just don't end up passing through our process. So it's been incredibly frustrating for everyone around the table on this particular issue. Kind of extending it out to the other public safety department. The police department has 4 patrol openings as well right now, to which we just finalized that recruitment. And we received 2 applications, one with a person that'll be able to be certified May of June of next year, and then 1 candidate that's going through the process right now that will be ready to go as soon as it gets the clear from us. So both departments right now are being hamstrung by position vacancies. There's still some talks. Scott's brought some ideas about sign-on bonuses. We're working through that, seeing if that would do anything. The police chief has some ideas, sign-on bonus, or even some sponsorship opportunities to find some undergraduates who want to go to the academy, try to sponsor them, get our claws in them early and get them through the system. So part of the issue isn't necessarily solvable to a certain extent. There's just not a lot of people wanting to do this field anymore either. Speaking on the police side of things, there was a hiring fair at Ferris State University where there was 50 or so agencies with positions they were recruiting for. but there was only 20 applicants at that time. So I mean, there's just not a lot of people in these industries right now. So we're looking at different options. We're probably at a certain point we'll have to bring something to the commission to authorize a little bit more expenditures. But whether it be a sign-on bonus, more training, I'm not sure what that's going to look like at this point. But we are actively trying to recruit to fill these positions at this point.
Thank you, City Manager. Any questions or comments from the commission? Commissioner Twardy?
Thanks for mentioning the sign-on bonuses, because, I mean, we know that this is an issue that I can see happening nationwide. My son's police officer, so I'm always trying to say to him, maybe you should go somewhere warm. There just seems to be like a lot of opportunities right now for people to be able to move around. And I'm wondering too, if I think a lot of people might be looking at trying to get out of the larger municipalities. I think that we would seem more desirable than the large municipalities. So, you know, taking a look at the sign-on bonuses and other options to bring people in here. I mean, overall it's a safe community, and it seems to be a better place to be, police or fire overall. So thank you for your report. Thank you for your report, Chief. And, you know, thank you for your diligence trying to bring more people into our community to make us safe.
Commissioner Boswell-Rath?
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback what Commissioner Twardy said. I agree. If a sign-on bonus, a lot of companies are doing it out there. You see it every day. Would bring more people here. You know, that's a good option. The other thing I was wondering is if we contract or something like you were saying with Lake State, they have a huge, which I thought was, you know, fire and safety, and I don't know if there's something that we can do to bring these kids to get them through, like you said, but I hate to see the burnout. You know, they keep our citizens safe, so we need to do something. So thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Collins?
City Manager, so basically what you're saying is that we have a supply and demand issue. And is it statewide, is it nationwide?
Both, yes. So like the state of Michigan, last time Scott and I kind of looked at it, EMS side of it was there's 1,000 openings in the state of Michigan right now. Police is probably similar in that nature, but yeah, it's a national problem. It's a state of Michigan problem. It's a Sault Ste. Marie problem. So, like I said, what's the silver bullet? What's the quick answer? What's the quick solution? I don't know. Some things work for other municipalities, some things don't. So we're open to different ideas, but it's just difficult. And it's not, you know, right now I'm focusing on the public safety side of things. Our engineering department, with the promotion of Tyler Perron from the staff engineer position to Public Works, there's been an opening in the engineering department for the past several months as well. And we've gotten some applications in there, but they're not the right type of engineer. We're looking for civil engineers, and we're getting things that are like mechanical engineers and structural engineers. So, so that position's probably been open now. Dave, how many sleepless nights have you had? Probably 5-6 months, it seems like. So I mean, it's not just confined to the public safety industries. It's all the way around. And even if you go back to my first time when I first got here, you know, trying to hire a water treatment director and a wastewater treatment supervisor, those applications were open for a very long time. And I would say the only reason why we got the 2 people that we did was just pure dumb luck. They came to us. I mean, Kirk just happened to see the notice of violation on 9 and 10 News, and I bought Brian from another agency. So, I mean, we just got lucky on those 2. But recruitments all around, all across the nation and the state of Michigan, regardless of the department, are incredibly tough to fill right now. And it's a combination of the work environment in which we work in, coupled with public sentiment towards government employees, public safety employees, and the ability in the private sector to possibly make a little bit more money and have a little bit less stress in your life. So I mean, it's not an easy world for us to recruit right now. And again, that's in every department that we have whenever there's an opening. With the exception of Public Works, we did have a couple openings there. We've had a good show up for those ones. But when you're talking about that mid-career department head, mid-level professional position, it's tough.
Well, thank you very much for your explanation. Appreciate it.
Anybody else, any other comments? Certainly, as you can see from the comments from the commission, from the city manager, we certainly support our police and fire professionals. And Chief Labonte, thank you for that report. And we're sorry that you're going through those issues, but we hope that we can move things forward. So thanks for working on them. Moving forward to item I, which is matters presented by the public. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make any comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to item J, which is matters presented by the City Commission. City Commissioners, Commissioner Twardy.
I just wanted to say thank you to Sioux Area Public Schools, or specifically Sioux Area High School, and of course the VFW and the American Legion. We were able to participate in the Veterans Day Assembly last Thursday on Veterans Day at Sioux Area High School, and it is one of the most respectful ceremonies that we get to be involved in. And everybody from the student body to the Sioux Area High School band and the choir and the Native American drumming ceremony, it's just really, it's a tearful celebration that really, I think, reinstills your faith really in humanity. And I'm just always very pleased that I get to be a part of that ceremony. And the guest speaker this year was phenomenal. That person grew up in our area and was a graduate from Michigan Tech in 1999. And just it's a great ceremony to be able to witness.
Couldn't agree more. It was excellent, always is. Carl McCready does a fantastic job, and we appreciate the fire chief and police chief and city personnel for being there and honoring our veterans. So anybody else have any? Commissioner Bauer.
Actually, just because we're moving off of the subject of hires and such, that we do have a new DDA director since our last meeting, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
I thought you might want to, make an announcement.
Throwing you the ball.
Yeah, I know.
That was a setup for you, Brian.
Yes, so the DDA did make a hire last week. They're picked up Tony Cutler. Tony Cutler is currently the staff rep for Senator Schmidt's office. He comes to us out of Boyne City. He's got an interesting background in the sense that he's kind of got a little bit of government working with the state. He's got some good connections there, but he's been kind of on the front line opening up his own business or with a group of colleagues down in Boyne City, Traverse City area. So he kind of knows it from the business side and what it takes to be successful. He's knowledgeable of the Michigan Main Street program. He's got a little bit of learning curve, but he is knowledgeable of that. And I think the DDA was really excited to make that hire. We had two really good applicants that we ran through the interview process, and he edged out the other one just a little bit, but they were both very good, very qualified candidates. But the DDA is very excited for Mr. Cutler's hire.
And one aspect that I don't think you mentioned, maybe I'm wrong, is that he is a Lake State grad, so he's very familiar with town, been
Yep.
here before, been through the winters. That's important.
Yep.
Yeah.
He knows what he's getting into.
And a former banker too, so he should be good with money.
So, yep, the DDA is excited for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good comments,
You're
Commissioner.
welcome.
Nice handover. Anybody else? We'd be remiss to not mention that the Parade of Lights is next Friday, November 26th, 2021. Lineup begins at 6. The parade begins at 7 o'clock, and it begins somewhere around Parker Ace Hardware. The parade route begins at the Ashland Easter Day intersection, travels north on Ashland Street and ends at City Hall for a tree lighting ceremony. And if you are a business or an entity, you still can get a parade float entered until November 23rd. So, all right. So, Commissioner Twardy, would you like to make the motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.